All right, we'll take announcements.
Pamela Ferguson, Regional Attorney, representing the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present and ready with Permanency Specialist Erica Cantrell from St. Francis Ministries.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Michelle.
Okay, what do we have new, Ms. Cantrell?
Just briefly, I'll start out with some of the positives Michelle's been doing. She's been working really hard on some credit recovery. So she showed me last night kind of how the program works and such. And so she's working on that. So she's taken a mixture of junior and sophomore and freshman classes kind of all right now. So she's doing really well with that. She's doing good in the placement, much better. We've had a couple of incidents since the last court hearing. She was in a physical altercation at school, instigated by Michelle. And then when I got a notification last night that they were having to take her to the hospital because she was having a panic attack. I do know they've changed some medications. And so they're going to address that. They have a scheduled appointment with Dr. Mendoza on Monday to see if maybe the medication changes to that. Cause some of that. And then we also, the next issue is she has been, when I asked her about having her phone, she said she had gotten it taken away because she was posting pictures of herself. And I said, well, I don't like kind of what pictures are those? She said of me, of my body. And I said, okay, are we showing a little belly? What are we showing? And she said, yeah, that's it. And so after I spoke with foster mom, I did see the photo. That is not all we're showing. I would say the pictures are sexualized. There's more skin than should ever be posted on the internet by a teenager. So try to speak to her about that. She wasn't having it. Just kind of told her the risk of doing that, even though if you're sending it to people that you trust. Talk to her about how that can get spread around school very easily, in the wrong hands of, people who just are looking at it for the wrong intentions. She didn't want to hear it. So when I left yesterday, she was pretty upset with me.
Well, I mean, you've said what you have to say to her.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We're still in immigration. Pamela, she gave us an update yesterday where that is. I mean, she's probably going to turn 18 before we get that resolved. I've been really strongly talking to her about extended care. I don't know if we'll have Michelle after she turns 18. She turned 17 in April. And so just kind of a difficult time for her right now.
Yeah. All right. Ms. Zavala. Go ahead.
On the immigration front, I just wanted to give an update to everyone. Because I double checked her file before this morning. Her priority date is April of 2021. Currently, they moved up the new priority dates this last month. And currently, they're processing anybody who has a priority date before January 1st of 2019. So that should give you an idea of how long the wait is going to be for Michelle. Also, I did want to just note to Erica, you need to ask her about her employment authorization card, because I believe that she got one even before deferred action was allowed for our kiddos, but hers is about to expire, I think. I'm not sure when it expires, but it's going to expire soon, I think.
Okay. Well, I'll get with you on what I need to do.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. So we're working on that. So.
Okay. All right, Ms. Zavala.
Not a surprising update on the immigration front. I think we all have known for a while that that's what it's looking like. She's in a great placement. She's got a great team working for her, great caseworker, great CASA. There's good communication back and forth. She's close enough that we all can see her in person. It's been a few weeks since I've seen her in person, but she was generally doing well. But she does have ups and downs. But at this point, I don't think there's anything that needs to change or anything. She's got a great team and we're all pulling for her. Okay.
Just at an age where it's difficult.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I said she's just at an age where it's difficult.
Agree. I mean, my own children, her, it doesn't matter. I mean, teenagers are they're just tough. I mean, it's just a rough time for, we don't know anything. We didn't live those years and do the stupid things, so we don't know anything. So that's kind of where we're at right now with Michelle, but nothing that I'm super concerned about. She's just got to find her footing.
Okay, well, Madam Court Reporter, I don't think disagreed with any of that from the look on her face.
She probably has teams.
I did just get a text from Tippy that she's in the waiting room and she may be supervisor of the day and might need to be coming in. I don't know exactly.
I'll bring her. All right, then. Casa.
Yes, the last time Casa saw her, she was doing good. I have not heard the update about the hospital, but we do believe that she's in a very, very good placement and has a very good support team around her. We really don't recommend any changes. She will be doing good in her placement. They're going to help her with everything that she needs. We really don't have any concerns right now.
Well, she's obviously surrounded by good people that are trying hard and working hard for her and trying to help her. So that's the best we can do. It's the best we can give. So, okay then. Well, Ms. Watson, welcome. Sorry I didn't let you in earlier. We tried to make all of our mistakes before we let you in.
It's all right. I know you don't want me here. You want a smooth day.
Yeah. All right, then. I will continue the department as permanent managing conservator, and I'll continue her placement. And our next review hearing will be on February 22nd of 2024.
Okay.
And that'll be at 9 o'clock or 9 o'clock docket.
Judge, you'll get a kick out of this. I've got a friend that's a judge in College Station.
Uh-huh.
Does what you do. And
Who is it?
Lisa Hubachek.
Okay.
And she was telling me she's doing one of these cases. No, I'm sorry, she doesn't do this. She does what Jeremy Fowler does.
Oh, okay. She does.
And they were doing it by Zoom back 2020, and they were in bed together, naked in bed together on a cell phone, back and forth like this. And so she was telling me that story. That was one of her favorites.
We had that one too. We had that happen too.
I think that's amazing.
I had to order him to turn the camera off, get out of bed, put clothes on. Yeah. We had a mom in a towel one time.
That's just funny as hell. Excuse me, but it's just funny.
No, it's funny as hell.
Cannot imagine.
You should write a book about all those experiences.
We're here today on a review hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. We'll take everybody's announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Shay Grant is my permanency specialist. We're present, ready, Your Honor.
Kenner Araujo for the mother, Kathy Davila, we're both present, ready.
Your Honor, I'm Tate Elders for the father, Stephen Gibbs, so we're both present, ready.
JC Zavala on behalf of Major.
All right, and Casa is with us. Okay. All right. Then, Mr. Trout, what do we have going on?
Judge, the parties have spoken and have agreed, due to some circumstances outside of this case, we've agreed to joint managing conservatorship between mom, Kathy Davila, and the aunt, Mercy Barnes. Is it Barnes? Is that your last name? Mercy Barnes. Dad would stay as possessory. We're not asking for any child support or medical support at this time. We'll let them work that out. And visitations would be as agreed upon by the parties. And the department would be dismissed out of the case.
All right. Ms. Naranjo, is this your client's agreement?
Yes, Judge.
And Mr. Eldridge?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And Ms. Zavala, you believe this is in the best interest of Major?
I do, Your Honor.
I forgot to mention one part, Your Honor. Mercy would be the primary on the joint managing. I forgot to say that.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. Mom and Major have done great since reunification. We've Casa's been in there checking, Shay's been in there checking, I've been checking, everybody's been doing really well. We've got some stuff going on in a few months that we don't know how it's going to resolve. But Major is very familiar with Marcy. He's been in her home. CPS has gone out and seen her home. They've worked with her. By doing the order this way, we build in protection for him, just not knowing what the future is going to look like. And I do believe that this agreement is in his best interest.
And CASA.
Yes, we agree. This is, excuse me, the best interest of Major. And we would like to be dismissed from the case if you see fit.
All right. All right, then. I will approve the agreement as announced and name Ms. Davila and her sister, Ms. Barnes, as joint managing conservators. Ms. Barnes will be primary and I suppose have the right to establish residence. And Mr. Gibbs will be named as a possessory conservator. I'll approve the agreement between the parties for no child support or medical support at this time. Visitation will be as agreed between the parties, and I will dismiss the Department of Family Protective Services, all court-appointed attorneys, and CASA from the case at this time. Ms. Davila, I just do want to take a quick second and congratulate you on all the progress you have made. You know, we were terribly afraid at one point in time that we had kind of lost this little boy, and it's really been a miraculous turnaround. You've done a great job. I wish you the very best of luck. I suspect there's be a whole lot of people here that would be in your corner with your upcoming pending matter, who would be willing to speak on your behalf. So don't hesitate to reach out and probably ask for that. So congratulations to you all. And I'm very happy for Major that this has had a, great outcome. All right. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank
And
you.
thank you, Mr. Gibbs, for showing up today.
And can we say happy birthday to Major today? He's
His
fine.
day. You're right. Absolutely. Happy birthday to Major. Review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. So we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Christina Hunter is an alternacy specialist today. We were present ready.
Stacey Zavala on behalf of Clay.
Dave Roush, CASA.
Melissa Limas with CASA.
Oh, Melissa is here.
I am.
All right, then what do we have new with Clay since we were last together? Have we made a little headway on some of our issues we discussed?
So yes and no. I don't know what was discussed last time, but I can tell you what I know.
Okay.
So as of right now, the placement that Clay is in, unfortunately, has put in a discharge notice in on him. It was a 30-day, so he is expected to be moved out of that placement December the 2nd. Prior to the discharge being submitted on him, I actually had Tippy and I had a meeting with our placement team to kind of discuss like what was his needs for next placement, those types of things. So we are definitely on that part already. He was set to graduate December, I want to say the 21st originally. And so once I found out about the discharge, I went ahead and got in contact with the school. They are going to ensure that he will graduate by December the 1st. So that will take care of that part as far as that part is concerned. The appointment with the local mental health authority, unfortunately, I think is going to have to wait until he gets set up at the new placement because the services that are going to be in the area are going to change. But we are still looking to try to get him placed somewhere close to his quote unquote mom and dad.
Okay.
As far as that part is concerned, Ms. Zavala and I have also spoken with the Wellings about what additional supports can be provided to him from them whenever he is quote unquote 18. And so they are definitely still on board with helping him moving into the future and helping to ensure that he is set up.
Okay.
Ideally, we want to get him into a CIL with like extra case management services, basically that will assist him with appointments and getting things set up and those types of things as well. That's the ideal placement that we're going to try to look for him for.
Okay.
But he may have to be in like a transitional or possible step bed and the in between before he turns 18, because he's not eligible for a SIL until he does turn 18.
Mhm. So, we had kicked around, I know, and I'm sorry, Ms. Hunter, but I'm going to go back. We had kicked around, at the last hearing that he didn't qualify for the HCS slot because of his IQ. And we kicked around what maybe were some workarounds on that, but I don't know if we made any headway with any of that. We talked about doing, we talked about the Wellings maybe being in, and I know this is all after he turns 18, but that's coming up quickly. Making the Wellings maybe his payee for Social Security. Is that something that they are kind of on board with?
Yes, they are.
Okay. All right. And now, Tippy, I know you were here for all that whole discussion.
Yeah.
And, we talked about the supported decision-making agreement with the Wellings. I don't know have we explored any of that?
We have, and I think everybody's on board. And we've talked about the fact that will have to be once he turns 18. But I've talked with Clay about that. I've talked with the Wellings about that. We're also looking at just opening a joint bank account with everybody's names on it. Clay is completely on board with them helping him with whatever they can, and they are completely on board with being in that role. We've just talked about, we're going to be meeting a lot more up until 18, that we've got these documents, and each time I talk to him, I'm explaining what that is and making sure that that's still what he wants to do. And then we just explained the step bed situation as, there's a lot of change and it's all going to be good. We're working towards getting you closer to mom and dad. We're working on getting you more independence. And in that, we may have to be at one place for a little bit and then move to another place. And we don't know yet, but we'll keep you informed. And so that's, I think, I can say we were all very not happy about the discharge notice, and angry would be the word. It wasn't based on anything that Clay did. But I think right now Clay's looking at it as a positive. This is all getting him closer to mom and dad and closer to independence. So we're all reframing it that way.
Okay.
We're getting a pushback from the placement with getting Clay to the doctor to get the note requesting guardianship of him. They haven't been very cooperative with that. Christina's been working with the mental health case manager through Superior to get the neuropsych completed. So we're still having struggles getting that stuff done. Since we've connected with the foster care liaison in the school district, we are having no issues at school. So that's been a real benefit, very helpful.
Okay. Well, okay, y'all have done a lot of work. I know, I can tell since our last hearing, and I appreciate it. And, I just, whoever talks to the Wellings next, just tell them, thank you, how much I appreciate what they're willing to do. So,
yeah, they did go up and see Clay this past weekend, sent some marvelous pictures of he with their children. He looked fantastic. Did a great job. We've approved for him to go down and have Thanksgiving with the Wellings. So we're trying to, as much as possible, keep that connection strong with them, since they, by choice, not by a court order, not by adoption, by choice, they have stayed involved with this child throughout his life. And we just want to continue to foster that for him, because it's very important. That's his connection to family. So
yeah, they're his family. There's no question.
Yes.
Okay.
I know the pictures made Stacy cry.
Yeah.
Other than the discharge, that's a hiccup. But other than that, it sounds like things are falling into places, best that they could. So I'm very pleased with what I'm hearing. So, Stacy, anything else to add? And
I don't have anything else, but man, he's got a great team, and everybody on here is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Roush.
I don't have anything additional other than just to express my displeasure at the placement. I wasn't happy when I heard that he was being discharged. Was that 3 weeks early? Or at least 3 weeks early, according to us. That yeah, that was a problem. But I do think we're all headed in the right direction, and I did like the fact that the Wellings would like to have them down for Thanksgiving. That'll free up some of that uncomfortable time. So
Definitely.
And also just to add on to Dave, we did actually go down and see Clay on, I believe it was Tuesday. And Tuesday. And he even explained that this is the plan for him, about that his mom and dad are going to help him through a lot of it. Those big decisions like doctor's appointments. And so he seems to be grasping that really, really well. And just really excited for him and just hope everything keeps working as we're planning.
Well, I'm just grateful he's got good people to rely on. So, because
and I did want to
very vulnerable.
I just want to make sure that you are aware also that we do have a couple of other meetings that are still currently set up on our end. We meet pretty regularly, especially with how quickly things are moving in Clay's situation. We have another meeting set up later this month before the holidays, and we have another one set up at the beginning of December for like all of our side of people, including Casa and Ms. Zavala, just so that we're all staying on the same page. And that does include the Wellings, so that we're all working together, putting our heads together and trying to make sure we're all on the same page and moving forward with Clay.
Okay. Well, I have full confidence in all of you, and you've done a great job for him. So, I think we're going to slide into this pretty smoothly. So,
fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right. Well, I sure appreciate everybody, and I know you guys have spent a lot of time on this, and I just can't thank you enough. And so we will have another review January 4th. Which is the day before he turns 18. And that's on a 9 o'clock docket. And then, we've had this on a 90-day track. We're going to shift to every 6 months, unless something comes up, and you always know we can fit something in. So January 4th of 2024. And then the next one will be set for May 2nd of 2024. So we'll skip what was a March date, but unless we have a problem, then we'll pick it up. Okay, thank you all so much, and everybody have a good rest of your day.
Thank
you.
And Professor Roush, we'll have that conversation on the.
Well, thank you. Looking forward to it.
You might be surprised what I had to say about that. Zoom. Excuse me, we're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Peyton Sim is my emergency specialist. We were present ready.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of Erica.
Melissa Limas with Casa.
Okay. All right. What is new then?
So, Erica was actually on the run since March, and we got her back in September. She is doing better than she has been in the past. She's been placed in the Houston area for a while now. However, they did put in a discharge on her for an assault charge that she caught. So we had to move her to a step bed, and it looks like our only placement option is Arkansas. So she'll be moving there, I think, next week. But I will say she's not running as often. She's a little bit more level-headed than she has been in the past, and she's working really hard in school. She's actually making better grades than she's ever made. So we're proud of her for that. But other than that, no updates.
Is this going to be the same placement in Arkansas where we've had some other kids?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And is she aware of this yet? Yeah.
Yes, I spoke with her about it on Tuesday, and while she's not extremely happy about it, which I completely understand, she understands why. That's kind of our only option.
Okay. Well, I have to say, and we've had some good outcomes with that placement.
Yes, we've had a lot of good outcomes from that placement, even in different states. So.
Okay. When is that move going to take place?
It should take place Monday if we can get transport figured out and set up, just because someone will have to fly down South Texas and then pick her up and then fly all the way there. So we're trying to sort that out. But Monday's our hopeful date.
Okay. All right. Well, Ms. Zabala.
So I know Erica and I talked before, I think it was determined where she was going to go, but we knew there was change happening. She very much is wanting to explore, can I go back with grandma? Can I go, to any other family? She wasn't happy when she was at the placement that she was at and wanted to be placed back with grandma or someone else. So I can't imagine that she's any happier with this change. She has school. I mean, the fact that she's making up these credits was huge because she was so far behind, and she is very smart, and she's making that up. But I don't know that she's appreciating kind of how important that is right now. She really wants to be back here to graduate. She was like, well, if I'm doing so good and I'm making it up, can I just be here for my last one? And she's turning 17 at the end of this month, and wants to be here. One of the other things that she had previously expressed to me and that I followed up with her on was just her medication. She did not want to be on medication. I know that they worked with her and tweaked several of the meds and kind of were trying some different things. I think she felt like that was better. I'm not sure that she still was real happy with having to take any meds at all. But she did feel like some of the changes that they were listening to her and that they had made several changes. But I think she would prefer not to be on any at all. But I do understand why the placement that's been located is kind of the only option at this time.
Okay. All right, and Casa.
Not much further, Your Honor. We did go see her down in Houston when she was at her last placement. She was pretty positive there. She does also have a tendency not to lie about it, but to withhold some information about some things that she was doing, but she really was doing so much better. I think that was the most positive, goal-oriented that I've seen her, and I've been with her since I've been with CASA. And so I really, really encouraged her to really work towards those goals. When I did go visit her, we did have some pretty tough conversations about, you're turning 17. So that does mean you're going to have some more responsibilities. We did discuss the medical, her medications and her not being on there or on board with being on some medications, specifically some of them that made her gain some weight. And I had some tough conversation that, being an adult also means that when you go to the doctor, you communicate with them and you take some of the recommendations. And if that doesn't work, you go back and you have more conversations with them and to see what else could work. And that, some of the things that she's concerned about, like the weight gain, can be combated with healthy eating, maybe some exercise, and that could also help with some of her. She has a tendency to get a little angry, and it comes out of her frustration that she has. And I think it's just from the system in general. But we've had those tough conversations, and I continue to try to give her those tough conversations. But I think this is her best option. And I've had several kids who have done well in some out-of-state placements where they've really committed to it. And I've told her before, wherever she goes, she just really needs to really look in the mirror and commit it to herself. I mean, we can I think I gave her the analogy of, you're driving the boat, we're kind of your propeller is pushing you through. But if you aren't driving it in the right path, we can give you all this information and everything, but you got to really make the choice to. And I think sometimes she hears it. Sometimes it's a little harder because she doesn't like those tough grown-up conversations. But I think she's really trying this time. And I really think, and I hope she'll give Arkansas a shot, because they can do some real good for and have done some really good for some of the kids that I have had placed out there.
Okay, well, I think it's our option at this point. So we'll give it, we gotta give it our best. So okay, and Ms. Vallis, she has not logged in yet, so I suspect she's probably caught up with the appointments, but you can let me know. I mean, if there is something and you do want her to, if we need to set up another hearing or just for us to talk in CASA, that's fine too. So.
Okay.
All right, then I'll continue the department as permanent managing conservator and approve the change in the placement. And our next review hearing is scheduled for May 2nd of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. So that's a long way with these changes. So if something happens, then, just let me know.
I have lots of conversations
Okay.
with the voices
Thank
in
you.
my head.
My problem is the things I think come out that should don't, and the things that shouldn't come out sometimes do.
Yeah.
And
Guilty.
Stacy, you gotta be careful with that because sometimes those aren't very good ideas that come to your.
I'll tell you all a funny story. If we get done on this one real quickly, I'll tell you a funny story about thoughts.
I'm just thankful all the time that we don't have those thought balloons like in cartoons.
I'd be in big trouble.
Well, that's kind of like the chat feature on Zoom. You got to be real careful.
Yes, you do.
Had a few mishaps with that. No, I haven't, thank heavens, but had a few attorneys that had a few mishaps with that. Okay. Erica?
Yes.
Erica?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, this is Judge Baker.
All right.
Okay, we've concluded your hearing.
I'm already done.
Okay, hang on. Whoever's talking in the background, if they can just let me talk with you for a minute.
I can't. I'm in the car. It's the only way I can do right now.
Okay, can you ask everybody in the car if they can be quiet for just a minute?
I don't know. The judge said everybody can be quiet. Okay, I'm on my face.
Okay, so Erica, we have completed your hearing, but your attorney is here still. And what we would like to do is arrange a time for your attorney and me and CASA for all of us to get together and talk here real soon. Would that be okay?
Yeah. So when is it? Because I need to talk to my attorney and my case secretary.
Okay. I'm sure that Ms. Zavala can get in touch with you.
No, because I be calling them and they don't be. I mean, I did talk to my attorney like 2 times and that's it.
Okay. Well, here's what we're trying to do is set up I have to move on to different cases this morning. So we're going to set up another time here real soon where you can talk with all these folks. Okay.
All right.
And with me. So, and we'll get word, make sure your caseworker knows you want to talk to your caseworker. But Ms. Zavala is here. She's hearing this. So we're trying to look at something for, I think, next week on Tuesday. Is that right? Tuesday or Thursday?
Yes, Tuesday or Thursday.
Okay. So Erica, what we'll have to do is we'll have to get and arrange that with your placement.
Okay, but I'm leaving on Monday to go to Arkansas.
I understand that. Well, so
I don't fully agree with that.
So it could be, it might be Thursday before we can, get all that arranged. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
I don't
You're breaking up.
But okay.
You're breaking up. So your attorney's going to contact you and we'll try to get that set up as quickly as we can. Okay.
How is she going to contact me?
Well, she has your current placement's contact information.
Oh.
Correct, Ms. Zavala?
Yes. And Erica, I have court today, but I should be able to call in afterwards. And so we're setting this up so that you can talk to the judge and tell her anything you want to tell her. So I do have your current contact info, and I'll have your info where you're going as well.
Okay. Well, I need to talk to them about that because I don't fully agree with that.
Okay. So Erica, so Ms. Zavala will contact you later. Okay. Okay. All right. And then she'll get in touch with me and then we'll figure out when we can talk. Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right. We'll talk soon.
Judge, you could also do Monday if you're available that day. I don't know what your schedule is.
Yeah. I think it depends if they're transporting her.
Okay.
I think it may depend on that. So
sure.
Okay. Well, we'll do something as quick as we need to do it. We are here today set on our adversary hearing. We are conducting this through the Zoom program under a finding of good cause and consent of parties. And we are live streaming. Ms. Taylor is making our record. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We were present, ready, Your Honor.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of Mom Melissa Cradaville. My client is present and we're ready to proceed.
Your Honor, Cody Portal for the respondent father, Joseph Ray. I am present. He is currently incarcerated.
Stacey Zavala on behalf of Leland.
All right. Okay, Mr. Trout, how many witnesses we have today?
Your Honor, I don't think we're going to need any witnesses. I believe we have an agreement on this case. I received a signature from Mr. Pirtle on behalf of his client, Mr. Ray, and then I just spoke with Ms. Sapien, and it appears that they are in agreement to TMC through the department and for parents to work services.
Okay. Is Mr. Pirtle, is your client in TDCJ or is he just in county somewhere? Or
Your Honor, I believe he's in TDCJ.
okay. All right. All right, then I assume we're going to say no child support or medical support at this time, and visits to be set up and all that.
Correct, Your Honor. I know that moms, and I don't know if Ms. Zavala wants to address this, but I believe moms drug screens did come back positive for meth. I would ask maybe a clean UA before we do any face-to-face at that time.
So the note that I had said that the UA on October 31st was clean. However, that mom did admit to continued use. So I am concerned about just making sure there's no exposure for the baby. But it does look, if that report is correct, was the October 31st UA clean?
Maria.
Yes, the UA was clean. It was the hair strand that was positive, yes. And she did also admit to using a couple days prior to the UA screen.
And is the 31st the last screen we have?
Yes.
I guess to address that, Judge, if we could ask Mom a few questions on that.
Sure.
Ms. Cradaville, you during the course of the investigation, you had admitted to some drug use. Are you still currently using?
No, not.
When was the last time that you did use?
Before Leland was born.
Okay. Would you, if we ordered another UA drug screen on you just to make sure that UAs are clean before we do any face-to-face, you fine with that?
Yes, sir.
Judge, I'd ask that we order a UA today, or have it done by at least noon tomorrow. And if the UA is clean, then I think we'll be okay with that, but just to make sure.
Ms. Cradaville, the reasoning for that is that, you know, with Leland being an infant and methamphetamine can be transferred skin to skin in close contact. So this is, nobody's singling you out. This is pretty typical when we've got an infant, that we just want to make sure that UAs are clean. So there's not been any recent current use that could transfer to the child, because it's obviously very dangerous to an infant.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's the reason behind it, and so I will order you to go do that UA. If there's time for her to do it today, that's great. If not, by noon tomorrow, is fine.
Yes, ma'am.
So they'll let you know, when it's good for you to go over there to do that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I appreciate your cooperation.
You're welcome.
All right. Mr. Pearl, is this your agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, that's my agreement.
Okay. And Ms. Zavala, you think this is in the best interest of Leland?
Yes, I do believe it's in Leland's best interest.
All right. And so I will find that the evidence is sufficient to name the Department of Family and Protective Services as temporary managing conservator of the child due to a continuing and ongoing danger to the child to be returned home. And father is incarcerated. Obviously, the child cannot be returned there. I'll find that the department has used reasonable efforts to avoid the removal of the child. And of course, that parents have agreed that they will engage in services. So we're good with no child support, no medical support. And as long as that UA comes back clean, we can go ahead and set up mom's face-to-face visits. When dad is released, then we can obviously address that. Okay, our next hearing is called a status hearing, and Ms. Cradaville will talk more about the services that the department's going to want you to engage in at that hearing. But between now and then, they're going to meet with you and develop a service plan for you. I strongly urge you to go to that meeting, participate in that, and then you can get started on those services right away. You don't have to wait to the next hearing. So
Okay.
Stay in close contact with your attorney. Ms. Sapien is going to be your best friend while this case is going on. So be sure if you have a change of phone number or address or anything, let her know, let your caseworker know.
Okay, I will.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I appreciate y'all.
I was just going to ask Ms. Watson, I can't remember who the caseworker on this one will be.
This will be Mickey Lane.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Cradaville, Mickey Lane will be your caseworker. I think you'll find she's extremely pleasant to work with, and she can be of great help to you. So I will see you back then on December 21st of 2023, and that'll be on a 9:00 docket. But
yes, ma'am.
Your attorney will make sure you have the Zoom link and everything for that hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all very much. Set for our adversary hearing today. We're conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. We'll go ahead and take announcements, but for the record, neither parent is present, so we'll discuss service and all that here in just a minute.
Yes, ma'am. Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready, Your Honor.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Xander, here and ready.
Okay. I know, at least from having, of course, read the affidavit, that mom at the time essentially was expressing that she had no intent to work services and didn't want to keep the baby. So I don't know whether that's changed or we've had any other contact or where we are in service. So Mr. Trout, what do you know about all that?
As to service, Your Honor, we have not been able to get mom served. We haven't been able to find her yet. Dad, we don't have an address for him. We're not, making sure we have the right information on him. And as far as, I think they found possibly a couple of different Daniel Austins, but we know there was one in Potter County a few months ago. I looked into some stuff. I didn't see where he ended up after that. I don't know if Miss White's been able, or Miss Spencer has been able to find anything on him. But we have an unknown address on the possible dad, and we cannot find the mom to get her served.
Didn't mom make some reference that she thought maybe he was in jail in Oklahoma?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so. And Miss White, if you could unmute for me real quick.
Yes.
Have you been able to track down anything on him?
So it's just difficult, I guess. So when I did make contact with her, I do believe she was still under the influence. Some of what she was saying didn't make sense, but she's been consistent that is his name. But she said at one point he was incarcerated in Oklahoma, and then she changed it when I did have her, notify her of the removal. She said he was in Colorado. We weren't able to find him in either place, but they did see that someone with that name was incarcerated in Potter a few months ago, but we don't know where he went after that. And there's been a few that we pulled up on our accurates and stuff, but they're not the dad. So.
And Your Honor, I looked into our system on as far as Potter County. The last arrest I had for Daniel Austin in Potter County was March, and it was I think he was released held on a parole violation, but I did not find him in TDCJ, so I don't know where he went after he got released from Potter County, and I didn't see any other record at that point.
Okay.
I think the age was about right on him. I think he's supposedly around 36, 37, somewhere in there, but I didn't find anything else after that.
And unless mom just randomly bolted, that's where I saw her. She was living there at that house, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah. We just haven't been able to make contact with her there. We haven't got, it's been sent out. We have not got anything back, and I don't believe they've been able to, my investigators have been able to find her.
Well, what do y'all want to do today? I mean, I obviously, like I said, I read what mom's position was at the time of removal, but we all know that sometimes those things change. So do we want to try to reset and give it just another week, see if we can't find anybody, or we're prepared to move forward today?
Ms. White, when was your last contact with mom?
I saw her whenever I notified her of the removal. I believe I saw her on the 31st as well as the 1st. And that is where I saw her. I had called her and she said that I could come by. Her roommate was sleeping, so she came outside to speak with me, but that's where she was. And up until the 2nd, I believe she was answering my phone calls and texting me back. And then all of a sudden, nothing. So I'm not sure if it was all just too much for her, because it kind of sounded like she was coming around. She was asking more questions about services and stuff like that. But like I said, then she kind of.
Well, and Judge, our citation got issued on the 2nd, which appears to be about the date she quit responding. So that maybe if she's not in that house anymore, has been moved around. That's probably we can't find her. I'm good with whatever the court wants to do on that. I mean, if she sounded like she was coming around, maybe give it another week, but it's whatever the court wants to do.
Ms. White, did you, in your last discussions with her, did you discuss the court date or how she would, appear for this, and anything like that?
I did. In that notification of removal, we kind of go over, this is what we discussed, this is what was approved, here's your adversary hearing. I wrote it down for her on the paperwork I provided for her, because I had given her the paperwork to file for an attorney and all that stuff. So she had that. Like I said, she had a working phone up until at least the 2nd. And like I said, it wasn't like she was gung-ho, yay for services, but she sounded much more like, oh, maybe this is what I need to do, versus the first time I made contact and she, had no interest whatsoever. But she did have all the information for today.
And from the time of removal to today, has she made any contact about inquiring about Xander or asking if she could see Xander, anything like that?
To my knowledge, she never asked to see him. She did ask if she could call and check up on him at the hospital. And I believe there were at least 2 phone calls that she did call to check up on him. But he's been in the, there since birth. So.
Okay.
Do you know when that last phone call to check on him was to the hospital?
It was before the 2nd.
Okay.
She had made some remark that someone was supposed to adopt the baby. Did we ever get any leads on who she was referencing?
So in the beginning, from what I was told by the staff, is that she had said that the baby's father and his girlfriend were going to adopt the baby. But like I said, then she told me he was incarcerated. And then after removal, she had mentioned that her mom, so maternal grandmother, might know a family who would be interested. We have not been given any information regarding a family, though.
Okay. Well, we don't have a whole lot to go on. Even, if we extend a week, I don't know that it's going to make a whole lot of difference, because we can keep trying her number, but I'm just not sure.
I don't know this will make a lot of difference. The only difference it would make, Your Honor, is if my investigators are able to catch her at that address and get her served. But other than that, I don't know what difference it would make.
Why don't we go ahead and proceed today? I mean, it just, she'd been pretty adamant at one point that she was not going to participate, but if we can turn either one of them up and they ask for court-appointed attorneys, I probably would be willing to revisit
Yes, ma'am.
and give them an opportunity. So, but we're kind of in the position where we need to move forward with this baby. So let's go ahead and just proceed today. And then, if we're able to locate them and their attorneys, or if they ask for attorneys or want to be involved, we'll revisit what the options are then.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, then you can call your first witness.
Kelsey White, Chairman.
All right, Ms. White.
How are you familiar with that case?
I was in or am the investigator on the case.
And how did the department become involved in this case?
We received a report regarding concerns that mom and baby had tested positive for methamphetamines at birth.
Okay. And were your next steps to go to the hospital to visit with the mom and baby?
Yes, sir.
And when did you do that?
That morning, first thing in the morning on the 30th, October 30th.
And were you able to see the baby?
Yes, he was in the nursery and mom was in her room.
How was the baby doing?
He was jittery. They said that was his showing signs of withdrawal. He wasn't eating on his own yet, but he was on room air.
Okay. Were there any changes in that, or have there been any changes in the baby's condition?
Yes, as of Friday, he was much more active and wanting to eat on his own. Before that, he was very lethargic and had a feeding tube.
Were there any other complications from the birth or anything else going on with the child at that time?
Yes, he has been on antibiotics for the past about 12 days for mom testing positive.
Mom testing positive for what?
Syphilis.
Okay. Did he receive any other treatments while he was?
Like I said, he was on the feeding tube, and then he received an eye antibiotic she tested positive for chlamydia as well. So there's just a bunch of antibiotics and stuff he needed.
Okay. And I believe is it eye gel or eye drops that he gets for one of those, and he went through that treatment also?
Yes.
Are they still checking on him, or do they have to wait a period before they make sure that he's clear on everything?
Yes. So the syphilis treatment was between 10 to 12 days in the NICU, and that will be up today or tomorrow.
Okay. But other than that, he has seemed to come along okay and doing fine right now?
Yes. Now he's eating on his own and much more active.
And is he still in the NICU?
Yes.
Do we have a discharge date yet, or what we're looking at?
If everything goes as planned tomorrow, like I said, the antibiotics should be done late this evening, and then as long as he's doing well, they'll look at it tomorrow.
Okay. Is placement already set up for him when he's discharged?
Not yet.
Okay. Are we looking at a regular foster placement?
Yes.
Were you able to meet with mom that day?
I was at the hospital.
And what was your conversation like with her?
In the beginning, she asked if I could just come back, that she was very tired, and I explained the importance of why I was there. That conversation just kind of went in circles regarding she didn't understand why she needed to participate in this if she wasn't going to take the baby home.
So mom expressed I don't want to say a need. Mom expressed that she did not want to take the baby.
Yes, she said that she was not in a position to care for him basically at this time.
Did y'all discuss any drug usage?
Yes, she did admit to methamphetamine use.
And did she admit if this was a recent thing, or has she been a long-term user?
She has been a long-term user. She said she had stopped when she initially found out she was pregnant. She thought she miscarried, and so she picked up using again and hadn't stopped since then.
So did she say whether she had received any prenatal care?
She did not receive any.
So no prenatal care, and admitted to ongoing use throughout the pregnancy?
Yes, sir.
Did mom tell you who possibly the father of the child is?
Yes, she gave me a name, Daniel Austin.
And did she give you any locating information, phone numbers, addresses, anything?
No, she told me last she knew who was incarcerated in Oklahoma, and then later on said it was in Colorado, but didn't have his whereabouts.
And have you run searches to try to track down Dad and see if you can come up with who she is speaking of?
Yes, sir.
Did those develop anything?
Not at this time.
Did she give you any possible contact information for his family?
No.
Just his name?
Yes, sir.
Did she give you any of her family members who could possibly take the baby? Or
she gave the name of her mother, so maternal grandmother, and her phone number. My backup supervisor spoke with her, and I believe she was interested in checking on the baby, but not being placement for the baby.
so she would call, check in, or get updates on, but doesn't want to take care of the baby in the home?
At this time, yes.
Have y'all spoken to her again?
I have not.
Do you know where Mom's whereabouts are now?
The last time I had face-to-face contact with her was at the residence off Hayes.
Okay. And that was a week or so ago?
Yes.
Okay. So in the last week, you've not had any contact?
No,
you
sir.
contacting her or her responding to you, either one?
Correct. I've tried to call her and text her on the number that she had previously been contacting me on, and I have not heard from her.
Does that seem to be still a working number, or are you able to leave messages or anything?
Yes, it functions just like it did before, but she called me back or texted me back then, and I haven't heard from her.
When you were having contact with Mom, were you able to let her know about the hearing today and the date and time?
Yes.
Okay. And did she ever respond to any of that?
That was my last face-to-face contact with her. And she seemed to receive the information like she understood what I was saying. So I don't know why she wouldn't be on it.
Were you able to send did she contact you for a link? Were you able to send the link to her?
So I had tried to call and text her, but like I said, she has not responded to those. So I don't know that she got any of that for sure.
Okay. Do you believe that it was in the child's best interest due to the circumstances, not knowing where the alleged father was, no family in order to care for the child, and Mom at the time stating that she didn't want anything to do with the child? Do you believe it's in the best interest of the child to remove?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness room.
All right, Ms. Zavala, any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, anything further, Mr. Trout?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. White, did she make some reference to you that she was going to give the baby up for adoption?
Yes, from my understanding, I guess she had talked to a family about that, but there was no documentation regarding like that she'd gone through a facility to get all the paperwork in line. So there was talking of it, but there was no paperwork at the hospital or anything provided.
Okay. But just a reference that she had entertained that idea, obviously.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right then. Ms. Zavala, anything to present today other than your recommendation?
Your Honor, it is my understanding from the information we've been provided that he may have already been discharged from the hospital or may be discharged today, placed in a foster home in Hereford. Now that could change. I know that, they've got to evaluate that at the time, but it looks like if we're not there, we're very close to him being discharged. And we have been provided the contact information for the placement.
Okay.
And other than that, no.
Okay. All right. Your recommendation is today?
It is my recommendation that Xander stay in the temporary managing conservatorship of the department. I do believe that's in his best interest.
All right. Thank you. Okay, then at this time, I will find that the evidence is sufficient to name the Department of Family Protective Services as temporary managing conservator of Xander, and the department, I find, has used reasonable efforts to avoid the removal of the child, but that we don't know the location of either parent at this point in time, so it would be impossible to return the child at this time for that reason alone. All I find that there would be a continuing and ongoing danger to return the child home based on mother's admitted drug use, the drug tests that were done, and again, father's whereabouts are unknown. I'll not order any kind of child support. Father is alleged, so obviously I wouldn't be ordering any support for him at this time anyway. Okay, our status hearing is set for December 21st of 2023 on a 9 o'clock docket.
Judge, kind of since it is a drugs case, in the event that mom does resurface and ask for visits, can we get drug screens and negative UAs before any face-to-face contact?
Yeah, we'll just add to that drug testing will be done before any, in-person contact, and we'd need negative UAs before that can.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Ms. White.
We're here set for our
Appreciate it.
adversary hearing today. We are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, present, ready, Your Honor.
Gary Morales for the respondent, Father Robert Thomas, Your Honor. I had brief conversation with him, but we were disconnected, and I've not been able to get in touch with him since. I believe that was Tuesday, maybe Monday. I did make him aware of this hearing, and I don't see him on.
He is not logged in. Okay.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of Rexton.
All right, so where are we as far as service? And I know mom has been sort of MIA for quite some time. I mean, prior to our involvement.
Yes, ma'am. Let me check just to make sure. I don't believe we have got dad served yet, Your Honor. But let me check one more time.
Sure.
We issued citation on October 30th, Your Honor, but we have not, I don't see anything been returned as service.
All right.
And I'm sorry, Kayla, did he come into the office on Tuesday, I believe it was?
So he came in for a visit on Tuesday, but he was 30 minutes late. And so when they attempted to serve him, he wasn't there.
We sent an investigator to our office because he was supposed to be coming in, but he was late and our investigator had to leave, so he missed it.
Okay. When he was there at the office, did anybody talk about this hearing and make sure he knew that this was going to happen today?
So, Your Honor, I know that his parent support worker has been in contact with him, has, mentioned the adversary hearing and all of that. However, whenever she has attempted to see him, things like that, he's always saying, I have to go pick up my daughter, but I'll get back with you. But she has not been successful in actually meeting with him in person. But when the actual worker has tried to contact him, she has not been successful.
Okay. My concern, of course, is this is a reset, and we're running short on time. Mr. Morales, I'm sure you'd prefer to have your client here, but did you get any sense at all when talking with him that?
Well, and that's Your Honor, that's what I can't figure out. I can't figure out if he's gaslighting me or because I can't tell whether or not he really wants to be involved. I asked him. I told him we had a hearing. He said he was at school, and he sounded interested. He said, "Okay, what do we need to do?" And shortly after that, we got disconnected. I tried calling him back several times, and that was it. But I did let him know that we had this hearing. So, I mean, he should know. Actually, I know he knows my number because I called him. And I can't remember if it was, I think it's Monday. I called him and he called me back like within about 5 minutes. And the reason I know that is I was going to have to disclose to him the number that came up is my wife's cousin's name. So I don't know. She doesn't speak with her very often, but I'm assuming that there's a a relationship there. So I was going to disclose that to him. Not that that's a general contract or conflict. I have never represented or anything like that, but I was going to let him know that. And, but I didn't get that far, and he hasn't returned a call. And so since he called me, I know he knows my number.
All right.
Your Honor, the parent support worker actually just messaged me. She said she did talk to him at 2. She reminded him about the hearing. He said he was going to log in. I've asked her if she could text him, please, or to get with his attorney, so we can get him in this hearing.
All right. Well, I mean, it sounds like he certainly knows that this was going to occur today and what time, and was given the information to log in. I'm going to go ahead and proceed today, and of course, if he logs in, I'll bring him in. But I think he obviously knows what's going on and is aware. So, Mr. Trout, I'm going to let you go ahead and call your first witness.
Call Keyshawn Mahoney. And how are you familiar with that case?
Because I was assigned the case.
How did the department become involved in the case with this child?
So the department received a report on Rexton. He was currently, at the time the department received the report, he was living with his cousin, Tamron Thomas. Tamron no longer wanted to care for Rexton anymore. So she contacted us to intervene and help her.
And did Tamron tell you how she had the child?
Yes. So Tamron told me that the child was left with her about 2 years ago. Mom had came and brought both her children to her, and dad was aware of it. So when mom had brought the children to her, they were like all beat up, bruised up and everything like that. The department had got involved and did an investigation as far as that goes. After that, mom kind of just went away. She hasn't heard anything from her since then.
So the cousin has not heard from mom since she dropped the child off?
No.
Do we know where mom is? Have you been able to track her down?
I have not been able to track mom down. The last known locations for mom is either in California or Las Vegas.
Okay. And those are, how did you come up with those locations?
I got that information from Tamron, and then when I also talked to dad, he gave me that information as well.
Okay. And dad, when you spoke to him, he was not sure where mom was?
He said he was not.
Did he state when the last time he had spoken to her or been in contact?
He said the last time he had talked to mom was 2 years ago when she had came and dropped off the kids with Tamron.
Okay. When were you able to speak with dad?
I spoke with dad on the 19th, October 19th.
And what was your conversation with dad? You let him know what was going on?
Yes, I let dad know what was going on. As far as let him know the department had taken custody of Rexton, and I explained to him why. I asked dad what his plans were as far as Rexton, and he said that he wasn't able to care for Rexton and that he felt like it was best if Rexton stayed in the department's care.
Okay. Were you ever able to meet with dad face to face?
Yes, I met with him face to face here at the department's office.
Okay. Was that on that meeting or a different meeting?
So actually on both meetings. So I initially talked to dad on his phone. I had contacted him on his phone on the day that the department got custody of Rexton.
Okay.
And then the following day, he came and he met with me at the office and we did all of our paperwork and stuff. And then he told me the same thing.
Okay. Did dad tell you where he was living?
Dad just told me that he was on the streets. And when I asked him what he meant by that, he claimed that he was homeless. Okay. And he was just living here and there.
Okay. But dad at no time expressed interest in being able to take and care for Rexton?
No, he didn't.
And kind of back to the beginning. So when the department came in possession of the child, the cousin Tamron refused to take the child back?
Yes.
Were you able to come up with any other family members that could possibly take Rexton?
So when I had spoken with Tamron, she had given me a name of a family member that was possibly willing to care for him. And when I had brought that up to dad, he was just like, no, y'all need to just leave him where he's at in foster care.
Okay. I think I saw in your report when you first went by the address that popped up for Mr. Thomas, It was his mother's house, is that correct?
Yes.
Did his mother ever express any want or interest in
No,
taking?
his mom did not.
Do you believe that it was in the best interest to take custody due to abandonment by the parents at that time?
Yes, I do.
Did Dad ever tell you when the last time he saw Rexton?
Dad told me the last time he saw Rexton, he said that he sees him here and there at like events and everything, family events.
Family events.
But he didn't give like a specific date.
And the cousin that had it is Dad's cousin, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's why it would be family functions that he would see him. But in those 2 years, the child has been living with the cousin. Dad has never taken custody of the child or tried to raise him.
No.
Are you asking today for the court to award the department temporary managing conservatorship of Rexton?
Yes.
And you believe that's in the child's best interest?
Yes.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Morales?
Sorry.
It's okay.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Trout, anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Morales, anything today?
No, Judge. Again, I don't have a real grasp on what he wants to do. I mean, he did seem interested, and he said, "What do we need to do?" And that was the last thing I heard from him. But that's not really been consistent with his behavior either. So, I guess I'll just, if he reaches out to me, and I'll continue to make those attempts. And if it gets to that point, and he's interested in a relinquishment, I'll definitely reach out on that end too.
Okay. Ms. Zavala, you have a recommendation?
I do, Your Honor. I got to meet with Rexton in person in his placement. He's precious and has made incredible progress since the time that he's been placed in that home. He was very much nonverbal, very behind in speech, but every day just significant progress with him, just in terms of family interacting with him. Sweet kid with a great smile. He does have some concerning scars that I've seen on his legs and his chin, but I believe he's in very, very good hands where he is, and I'm hopeful that he'll be able to make some really good progress. I absolutely believe it's in his best interest that he remain in the temporary managing conservatorship of the department.
All right, thank you. All right, then at this time, I am going to find the evidence. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. I did have one other concern. If it sounds like Dad showed up for part of that visit, if Dad is cooperating and wanting to work services, then visits of course make sense. If the only contact we're having with Dad is him showing up periodically for visits, I worry about the effect that could potentially have on Rexton. So I would just say I'm all for visits if Dad is going to be working, but if he's not communicating to anybody else and just showing up, I'm just not sure that's in Rexton's best interest.
Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. I find the evidence is sufficient to name the department as temporary managing conservator of the child. I find there's a continuing and ongoing danger to the child to return the child to either parent. I mean, we obviously don't even know where mom is, and Dad's not seemingly reaching out terribly interested, but we'll give him his chance. Obviously, I find the department's used reasonable efforts to avoid the removal of the child, and I'm not going to order any child support or medical support at this time. Dad is just an alleged father, so we'll take that up at an appropriate moment. I am going to order that there will be drug tests done on both parents before there would be any in-person contact with the child. We just don't have very much information right now about either of them, and we would want negative UAs before there would be any kind of in-person contact. I know he's 5 years old. He's not a baby, but it's just more a question of not having much knowledge about either parent at this point in time. All right, then. I appreciate you all very much. And, you know, Mr. Morales, if you hear from him and hopefully we can get him engaged.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I appreciate everybody. Thank y'all. I think that's it for this afternoon.